It's not at all easy, and while we check the boxes, many of us are unable to actually commit to the hyperscaling that's needed in today's world and certainly today's Pakistan. So here's the context, since climate change is the issue here. The context is very clear globally in two sentences. Our emissions are rising globally and our warming is rising globally. We are uninformed by data and knowledge on how fast that will be for Pakistan, but we certainly know that we are on the front line of climate stressed countries. I think there's no confusion left about that anymore now. So while we understand this context, let's see where we are trying to balance what businesses need to do while trying to invest in a future that is sustainable. Now, businesses, as I understand it, need energy. Everybody needs electricity. Let's cut to the chase. Everybody needs electricity, and Pakistani, at least big businesses, have a kind of conceptual schizophrenia in how they're seen and how they see themselves. Many, I'm going to say it, many see big business in Pakistan, and that's not just in Pakistan, as predatory or rent-seeking. I don't think it's quite as simple as that. I think businesses, from what I hear when I sit with them, are also facing a very challenging tax environment in Pakistan, are also facing, energy disruptions and unstable regulatory environments, which actually prohibits investment and long-term planning and predictability for, say, renewable energy investments, which are so necessary and so entirely possible and viable with given our green resources. Now, I'm not going to stand here and hector you that you all need to invest in green energy or renewable energy. You're all thinking about that anyway for your own plans, but you're not all in the business of energy. Yet, without that, you would have no business. So we do have to think about energy and how we can shift to renewability in say a 10-year context, or look at mid-century. Now, if you're looking at mid-century, as we can see today, international businesses are pulling out, at least the big banks are pulling out of net zero alliances. The picture is not pretty. They're pulling out of net zero sustainability alliances. Here in Pakistan, the banking sector won't really do that because, well, they end up being fund managers and for the government. And at the end of the day, you are looking at a situation where there is still globally no acceptability of a linearity and pathway to sustainability, either by businesses or governments. And at the end of the day, Pakistani businesses and Pakistani people have to realize that, hey, no one's coming for you. No one's coming to, when I say coming for you, I mean no one is coming to pick up your pieces beyond a point. The age of the compassionate humanitarian multilateral order has passed. For now, we are living in a very fragmented, chaotic world. And what strategic investments must you make in the future in your businesses, in your people, and in your profits? How do you strike that triple balance is something that really I would like this council to spend more time roundtabling and developing a knowledge base about. And I know it's a tall order, but I think this is what we need to do. Now, Pakistan is talking about circularity. Many of your businesses are also talking about it and actually seeking to move into an economy that is circular, that's sustainable, but only the big businesses are. Let's see the percentages. They're huge, and you have companies like Engro and Unilever, very high-profile companies with deep pockets, able to set up their sustainability metrics. I'm not going to barrage you with data, but there they are. They are still big emitters. They continue to be big emitters, but they try to offset that with best green practices, as we call them. And when we do that, we see that these companies are actually not able to move beyond a point. They remain plateaued in their sustainability ventures. They may disagree, but I think that many are not able to actually disclose. I mean, reporting is an issue we all need to talk about, and incentivize. Because without incentives, businesses don't do anything. I'm really done with the moral imperative to businesses. That's not how they make transformational, cyclical shifts. Businesses, people in the business of markets and profits will only make that with incentives or as a guardrail or hedge against a very uncertain and unpredictable future. So unpredictability is absolutely the new normal. Global heating, 2.5 degrees centigrade, difference not 1.5 is absolutely expected. And I'm doing a set of predictions for 2047 for someone else, and in that we're looking at a very, very grey Pakistan, if we are very clear. And in that graying, you have to look at the air, the quality of your air and the quality of your water. If you really boil it down, obviously your soil, your agriculture, but your quality of water and air are being hugely impacted by the non-circularity and non-sustainability of business practices. Yes, it is consumers. We are addicted to wealthy without energy, and that meant fossil fuels. And that a country can't be wealthy even today without energy. Sustainable, low-cost energy. And that's always dirty fuel. That's still the base load today, right? And so, what is the 21st century going to teach us, and what are we going to teach it? How are we going to define it? Let's not wait for the United Nations to tell us where we need to stand or somebody else. We are on our own, ladies and gentlemen, including your businesses. I'm grateful for multilateral cooperation when it surfaces in any form or shape, or even bilateral, but do not expect it anymore as a standard practice, which I see in, at least in government environments, I see a lot of expectation that, well, so and so will come and fix this for us. No one's coming to fix it for you. The one thing you've got to do, other than, of course, looking at how you're polluting the air and water with either plastics, with emissions from tanneries, nobody's talking about those. Those are huge for the water, from Kasur to Karachi. And obviously the plastics infiltration into our lives, which is going to cripple our waterways and going to cripple public health in ways that now you see air pollution doing, especially in Punjab in winter. And these are all year now, these are all year realities. So it's not just a winter season, the impacts on your throat, on your cardiovascular health, on just how you live and breathe is impacted by your business practices and our consumption behavior. We are all still looking at consumption as an end goal that must not be challenged. And obviously businesses need to project that. So instead of telling you what is normally said, you've got to create your own, how do you sort of make your supply chains less dirty, all of that is something you know about. All of that is something some of you report about, because we don't have a healthy culture of reporting. Now, I can say what I want about sustainability as a business till the cows come home. But unless there's a data-driven report culture and a place where we are actually looking at our sustainability markers or our actions, there's going to be no movement forward. And believe me, the world is still grappling with this. It's not just us. So, I mean, I don't know if companies here have any incentive for say when they go for listings. in terms of sustainability? Do they have them? I mean, does that matter? Does it give you a higher ranking? That happens in some of the stock exchanges, and that's something to consider. Build incentives. I would urge the Business Council, IFC, everybody sitting here, to have 2 short roundtables where you brainstorm, get yourself a consultant, you can do this, and ask them to write down what businesses can do to actually start working with data advantage, which is what at home. We have a huge youth demographic that is actually in the universities, from NAS to a remote university in Jagai, Balochistan, working on low-cost, innovative climate solutions. Young people out there are at it with the slightest of incentive, competitions, prizes, that's what's moving them to do this. So that tells me that we have a huge landscape of R&D to invest in, to give us the solutions we need while remaining profitable. Because companies are going to seek, I can't hector you to throw away all your plastic waste without creating some kind of alternative to it. It's the plastic company, it's the producer, the manufacturer, who is going to have to make these shifts and innovations. I mean, I don't want to call out anybody, but we are only recycling 1% of our total solid and other waste. So if anyone's telling you otherwise, it's frankly rubbish. The world too is actually recycling only 9%. The entire world, including the big economies with their bins that separate organic from other waste. Well, they're trying. Europe is trying. But the next step will be that businesses will become uncompetitive if they're unable to mark or safeguard their businesses, their products that they're exporting, especially the textiles, to carbon border adjustments. You will face carbon border adjustments from the EU, for instance, where you have preferential access. I mean, I want to shift everybody's minds towards working with neutrality, carbon neutrality, as the only way forward. If you are not penalized for your exports, if you don't have the right carbon footprint or the reduced carbon footprint, you will become completely non-competitive. In fact, you may be barred. I mean, right now, many economies, our biggest export market for textiles is the United States. They're not putting this on you. But one fine day they will. The EU is getting ready for carbon border adjustments. Now, this will happen to everything, to organics, from agriculture, to textiles, to surgical instruments that you export. So businesses have to think. If there's an airline, I see my friend sitting here with it, if there's an airline running, it will do better internationally, locally, in the market, if it's presenting itself as a green airline. It's a bit of an oxymoron, but it has to do that.
सेनेटर शेरी रहमान का मौसमियाती तब्दीली के हवाले से इस्लामाबाद में तकरीब से खिताब। पाकिस्तान भी उन ममालिक में शामिल है जिन ममालिक को मौसमियाती तब्दीली के असरात का सामना है।